See you then.
On World News Tonight this Wednesday, the House of Representatives is about to vote on whether Bill Clinton should face an impeachment inquiry. How many members of his own party can the president count on? The clearest picture we've had yet of the last few minutes on board Swissair Flight 111. And when you pick up the telephone, who else is listening? We'll visit the wiretap capital of the country.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with counting heads and twisting arms. The House of Representatives is going to vote tomorrow on whether to move ahead with a wide-ranging impeachment inquiry of President Clinton. Tonight, the big question is, what kind of support will the president get from members of his own party? The president has made an enormous effort to get Democrats in line, but congressmen and women are also listening to what they hear at home. So first we go to the White House and Sam Donaldson. Sam.
Well, Peter, many Democrats have resented the president's lobbying tactics in appealing to them to vote no. There is mounting evidence that many of them intend to vote yes. So the president appears to have changed his strategy, or at least accepted the inevitable, and is no longer portraying this vote as a matter of personal or party loyalty. To reporters today, the president summed up his advice on how to vote this way.
I think the vote should be a vote of principle. It's up to others to decide what happens to me. And ultimately, it's going to be up to the American people to make a clear statement there.
Pressed on what that meant,
I think everybody should cast a vote of principle and conscience.
Principle and conscience is a far cry from saying, vote my way, period. In fact, many House Democrats don't want to do something that might damage their own re-election chances on a vote that is both a foregone conclusion and not anywhere near the end game. A message Vic Fazio, chairman of the House Democratic Caucus, delivered to the president today.
I think tomorrow's vote is a question that members are having to respond to in the context of an election. They are going to be going back and spending 3 or 4 weeks with their constituents. I think this is not the vote that you're all interested in covering. That will come in November or December.
Fazio was clearly saying this vote isn't the important one, and members have to save themselves at election time. And Press Secretary Joe Lockhart was careful to say there would be no retaliation.
For those who, for whatever reason, decide to vote to move forward under the proposal put forward by the Republicans, that we will work with them.
So what are the expectations here? The traditional tactic is to put out the word you expect massive defections, and then when it doesn't happen, brag that you did better than expected. But there's much nervousness here tonight, Peter, and instead of wasting time playing that game, they're simply keeping their fingers crossed.
Thanks, Sam, very much. Sam Donaldson at the White House. Now let's look at this vote a little more closely from the congressional perspective. What kind of a message are Democrats trying to send both to the president and their constituents with an election coming? ABC's Linda Douglas is on Capitol Hill.
On the eve of tomorrow's vote, some moderate Democrats stepped forward to say they may have no choice but to vote for an impeachment inquiry or pay a price with the voters in November.
If Democrats want credibility on the real vote of consequence, which is the vote of impeachment, then I think that they may erode that credibility by voting against even proceeding with an inquiry.
Does this breach the high threshold in this country of an impeachable offense? I have very deep doubts that it does, but we should inquire about it.
Democratic leaders urge their members to reject the Republicans' wide-ranging impeachment inquiry and vote for a Democratic alternative which would limit the scope of the investigation and give it a deadline.
This is a moment for the Congress to decide not whether to go forward, but how to go forward.
But sources say that won't satisfy many Democrats who want to vote for the Republican proposal, which has no restrictions. That way, they cannot be accused of protecting the president. Some members complained quietly that they resented White House pressure to oppose an inquiry. A senior senator warned the White House to back off.
And I would suggest, by way of friendly advice to the White House, don't tamper with this jury.
And late today, the independent counsel Kenneth Starr sent a letter to the House of Representatives saying that he is continuing to investigate matters about the president and may yet has not ruled out sending up further evidence of offenses that could be impeachable. And Peter, that may cause even more Democrats to vote tomorrow for a wide-ranging inquiry.
Thank you, Linda. Linda Douglas on Capitol Hill. Now let's go overseas. In the Serbian capital, Belgrade, today, a defiant Serbian leader and, one assumes, a frustrated American envoy, Richard Holbrooke. Mr. Holbrooke has been trying to convince the Serbian dictator, Slobodan Milosevic, to get his troops out of the province of Kosovo, where they have been murdering and terrorizing the ethnic Albanian population. 90% of the people in Kosovo are ethnic Albanians. They want their autonomy, and at the very least, they want the killing to stop and their homes to be safe. For everyone concerned, today is a little more dangerous than yesterday. Here's ABC's John McWethy.
Intelligence sources say there are ominous signs that the Serbs may have no intention of backing down, but are preparing to be hit and to fight back. ABC News has learned that the Serbs moved anti-ship missiles out of storage and onto their ships. That's significant because the U.S. has 17 ships operating nearby. In addition, the Serbs have moved part of their navy to big tunnels that were dug along the coastline during World War II to hide ships. Anti-aircraft guns and missiles have been moved out of storage areas into the field and have been camouflaged. Some of the missiles have been upgraded with Russian technology, making them far more accurate. Intelligence sources say the Serbs were observed last week practicing shooting down low-flying drones similar to American cruise missiles. And finally, the small Serb Air Force has been dispersed throughout the country with its best planes, MiG-29s, put inside cement storage bunkers. As for the U.S., it will begin tomorrow to reinforce aircraft already in Europe. Half a dozen B-52s will leave from Louisiana carrying long-range cruise missiles that would be used in the first wave of any attack. John McWethy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
There is other important news today, so we'll be back in a moment. Swiss Air Flight 111 just before the crash. The most detailed look yet at the crew's last efforts to save the plane. And on the money, trying to understand what the chairman of the Federal Reserve meant when he was talking today.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by the makers of new Advil Liquid Gels.
Trains now go 300 miles an hour. Mail, 3,000 miles a second. Athletes continually break records. So how come pain relief isn't faster? Introducing Advil Liquid Gels, the first and only pain reliever in a faster-acting liquid-filled capsule that's gentle on your stomach. On tough pain, Advil Liquid Gels are stronger and faster than extra-strength Tylenol. Headaches to muscle aches. New Advil Liquid Gels. Advanced medicine for pain. Just got faster.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, there's bound to be one where you're headed. You can pretty much bet on it. Days Inn. There you go.
55. What'll it be?
We'll take some rice and
get some farf too.
Yeah.
Now you can choose which teams you see every Sunday with DirecTV and NFL Sunday Ticket. There's up to 13 regular season games a week.
Price check on farm.
Hey, Brett. Hey, John.
So stock up on all your favorites. NFL Sunday Ticket. It's not on cable. See it on DirecTV. So what are you looking at?
Attention shoppers. Now get $200 worth of programming when you get DirecTV.
Tonight we have the clearest picture yet of what happened on Swiss Air Flight 111 in the final minutes. Canadian investigators still do not know precisely why the plane crashed off Nova Scotia last month, but we have learned some of the details from the plane's recorders that tell us just what the passengers and the crew were going through. Here's ABC's Lisa Stark.
This is the McDonnell Douglas MD-11 that crashed off the coast of Canada. On the evening it took off from New York, everything seemed routine. About 1 hour into the flight, 20 minutes before the crash, the crew notices an unusual smell. Co-pilot Stefan Lowe, who is flying, turns the controls over to Captain Urs Zimmermann and gets out of his seat to investigate. He reports there is nothing down where he looked, leaving some investigators to suggest the co-pilot may have checked the electronics bay under the cockpit and found nothing, which may mean electronics in the overhead panel are the source of the problem. The crew calls in a flight attendant. Can she smell smoke in the passenger cabin, they ask? No, but she does smell smoke in the cockpit. The flight data recorder shows no indication of fire from the engines or cargo holds. Within 3 minutes of smelling something, the captain indicates he can now definitely see smoke in the cockpit. A minute later, the crew makes its first distress call of pan, pan, pan to request a landing. Within 2 minutes after that, the cockpit crew has put on their oxygen masks. It is 11 minutes before the crash. In the back of the plane, dinner is being served. Passengers now learn something is wrong. A flight attendant announces the plane will land in Halifax in 20 to 25 minutes, an indication pilots still feel they have plenty of time to get the plane safely on the ground. The captain begins an emergency checklist, trying to isolate the source of the smoke. The first step, turning off all power to the cabin, which leaves just emergency lighting in the back of the plane. Flight attendants are told use flashlights to pick up meal trays. They report the passengers remain relatively calm. It is not calm in the cockpit. At this point, about 6 minutes before the crash, something goes terribly wrong. At the same moment, both pilots scramble for the radio to declare an emergency. They need to land immediately. The data recorder now picks up problems with a flight control computer and other systems. Within 30 seconds, the co-pilot reports he has lost all of his main instruments. Seconds later, both data and voice recorders quit working, and there is no further communication with air traffic control. 6 minutes later, the plane hits the water. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
In other news today, the government reports that the death rate for AIDS is at its lowest since the government started keeping track in the late 1980s. The protease inhibitors, those drugs are helping people with AIDS live longer. However, the total number of people living with HIV keeps going up. 40,000 more people are infected every year. The government also reports today that life expectancy overall in the country is at an all-time high. A baby born in the United States last year can expect to live to the year 2073. That's 76 and a half years, as you can see. When we come back, lending and spending, why it is now harder to do both.
A new study has shown that 3 cups of Cheerios whole grain oats a day added to a low-fat diet can actually help reduce your cholesterol. Just think of them as little life preservers, the one and only Cheerios, to help reduce your cholesterol.
How do you create a stroke of genius? Think about what you really want. Oh, I like that. Color and texture can accent any room. And at the Home Depot, their paint experts can help you find the perfect colors and textures. And the advice to ensure great results. That's the beauty of the Home Depot.
12,000 people in my hometown, and I represent all of them. No time to get slowed down by irregularity. My doctor says exercise, eat more fiber. But sometimes a meal is whatever you get served. So my doctor suggested Metamucil. It's not a chemically altered fiber, not an artificial stimulant. The only leading brand with 100% natural fiber is Metamucil. Keeps me regular gently. Changed my life. Now I can get out there and change the world.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
At Uniroyal, in order to make a point about our new nail guard tires, we added a few to our test track. Nail guard tires, designed to seal 90% of tread punctures, instantly and permanently. Only from Uniroyal.
T-Bone, T-Bone, looking for a T-Bone, chewy, meaty T-Bone at the big T-Bone store. There's one. No, that's not one. Over there. No, over on the shelf. Oh, too green. Wait a minute there. A whole package of little chewy, meaty T-Bone steaks. I'm waking up.
Mama brought you some T-Bones dog snacks.
Made with real meat, so dogs think
it's a T-Bone.
Resealable T-Bones, brand from Purina. Dogs don't know it's not a T-Bone.
It's a T-Bone.
Consumer news, the Justice Department has filed a major lawsuit against Visa and MasterCard. The government accuses them of limiting competition in the credit card industry. Consumers are hurt, the government argues, because Visa and MasterCard prohibit banks that carry their credit cards from also offering competitors' cards. In Washington today, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan, has spoken again about the state of the economy. Just the fact that he's been speaking so much lately has made a lot of people nervous. Mr. Greenspan seemed to imply today that the irrational exuberance in the economy, as he has called it, may have turned into irrational pessimism. Here's ABC's Betsy Stark.
The millions of people who hang on Alan Greenspan's every word got a mixed message today. On the one hand, he called the U.S. economy
really still quite an impressive sight.
But he also worried out loud about how problems in Asia and Russia have created a climate of fear that has led to
a major shift towards risk aversion pretty much throughout the world.
Risk aversion, people afraid to take chances. It's what's driving investors out of stocks and into the safety of U.S. government bonds. The same risk aversion is driving money out of the developing economies of Latin America. And now that American banks have risk aversion, it's become increasingly difficult for U.S. businesses to borrow the money they need to grow. 3 months ago, internet entrepreneur Doug Hansen had lined up $175 million in financing to expand his company. But after the Russian economy collapsed, Hansen's bankers got nervous. And now he says it's impossible to get financing on any terms.
The problem we have is that there's just absolutely no funds available. So we're impacted by something that we have no control over.
Banks and brokerages are now afraid to lend to all but the biggest and safest of customers.
What happens is no one wants to take the smaller credits, so they can't raise it, and that's where you get your absolute credit crunch.
Some say the credit was flowing too freely before, and that risk was too easily overlooked. The fear now is that the pendulum has swung too far the other way, and that deserving customers will be denied. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
On the money tonight, some more about the pressures of the global economy. Hundreds of thousands of people demonstrated against the government in Russia today. Their living standards have been in steep decline. Millions of workers have gone without paychecks for months. The Russian ruble, worth 16 cents 2 months ago, 6 cents today. In Japan, when the government merely suggested it would do something to strengthen the banking system, the stock market went up 6%. Here in the U.S., the big defense contractor Raytheon announced today that 14,000 jobs are going to be eliminated, declining sales of missiles and electronics here and overseas. And we also learned today that some of the big brokerage firms on Wall Street are actively considering layoffs. Until very recently, they had been actively hiring. When we come back, who else is on the line? A closer look at wiretapping and privacy lost.
There are a whole lot of cereals that don't have a whole lot of whole grain. Of these leading cereals, only one is made with 100% whole grain. Only Wheaties. So Only Wheaties gives you 100% whole grain nutrition. Maybe that's why Only Wheaties has Tiger Woods.
Whole grain makes the difference.
And 100% whole grain makes it Wheaties.
The mighty Chrysler.
The 300 idea is the idea of a powerful, responsive, nimble automotive machine.
Introducing the all-new 99 Chrysler 300M, the most powerful sports sedan in its class.
As long as I've worked on this engine, I still get a tingle every time we open the hood.
The Chrysler 300M. The technology has changed, but the soul lives on.
Right, Seattle. I start my job on Monday. I want to do something about my retirement plan.
Okay, no problem.
Shane, Andy, please.
Sounds like your hands are pretty full there. Don't worry about this. A rollover specialist can handle all the transfer paperwork for you and make sure you avoid penalties. We can also help you with the new tax laws.
Oh, thanks. You've been a really big help.
Oh, good. Good luck with the move.
Tell the truth. Do you soak your dentures every day? No? Takes too long? Well, Polident works in just 5 minutes. So it's easy to clean every day. And that's what really helps control denture odor. Use 5-minute Polident every day.
Honey, is there any of that chicken cacciatore left?
Look in the freezer.
Hefty One-Zip with the hefty slider that clicks closed for freshness. Hefty One-Zip, the hefty duty food bag. Hefty One-Zip with the hefty slider that clicks closed for freshness.
Little guy's got spunk.
Hefty One-Zip, the hefty duty food bag.
We've been taken up this week with the value of privacy, privacy lost in the minds of many people, but not all, and we'll get to that. First, we're going to take a closer look at privacy in the telephone. It is the most familiar invasion of privacy that people deal with. The image of government listening in has been with us for a long time. And in some places these days, with very good reason. ABC's John Miller reports from Los Angeles.
There are 6.5 million telephones in L.A., and for years in California, only federal authorities could use a legal wiretap. Then, in 1989, California passed a law targeting drug dealers that allowed local police to use wiretaps when all other investigative techniques had failed. What's the wiretapping trend here in L.A.?
To wiretap a lot, and to wiretap everybody.
Kathy Quant, a lawyer in the Public Defender's Office, charges that police in L.A. are using wiretaps as a first step, not a last resort as required by law, and that many thousands of people are being overheard improperly.
Every wire, everything we've sought, has all been judicially authorized.
The district attorney's office says since 1993, they have only applied for 90 wiretap orders. But the number of wiretap orders does not reflect the number of people being overheard. This one wiretap order allowed police to listen in on 350 different telephones and listen for a long time.
The average wiretap lasts 30 days. Not in Los Angeles, it lasted almost 2 years.
Prosecutors say some of the taps led them to drugs and drug money, but most of the taps seem to lead nowhere while grossly violating privacy. In one case, 5 L.A. public telephones were tapped. Police listened to 131,000 conversations, resulting in no arrests. California law requires that when a wiretap is concluded, the authorities have to notify everyone who was overheard, especially the people who were not suspects. Now, the DA's office admits, in most cases, they never told anyone.
It was indeed an oversight. There's no question about it.
Oversights that legal scholars say could bring privacy lawsuits and cause convictions to be overturned. While prosecutors and defense lawyers grapple over the legality of thousands of intercepted telephone conversations, no branch of government seems to be too eager to take the lead in getting to the bottom of all of this. Not the Attorney General, not the judges, not the legislature. Right now, LA's Big Brother story seems to be a political hot potato. John Miller, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Well, with all we've reported this week about the loss of privacy, as most people know it isn't hard to believe that privacy ain't what it used to be. But there's always a contrarian on the subject. There's an interesting take on this in the current edition of the New Yorker magazine. The writer is Jonathan Franzen, and we sought a moment's privacy up on the roof this afternoon to get his take on this.
If you think about what the country was like 100 years ago, we lived in a small town. On average, people didn't have their own bedrooms. They took public transportation or they walked. They were in public view. Shopkeepers knew what you were buying. Neighbors followed your every move. You couldn't walk to the post office without people seeing what you were doing. Nowadays, we live in large houses. Everybody has their own bedroom, drive around in private vehicles.
What's your definition of privacy?
It's whether you feel private. It's whether you have the sensation that someone is listening. Someone may have my phone tapped, but if I don't know it, I feel private.
But if I have your phone tapped, surely I'm invading your privacy.
You're doing something. If I never find out about it, I'm not harmed. And if I do find out about it, then there are ways to redress the problem. You have something like the Easy Pass, which people use to get through toll bridges and tunnels without stopping to pay every time. And there's concern. There may be security cameras. I don't think about them. Big Brother could watch your every move. And seldom is it acknowledged that it means you don't have to wait in line at the toll booth. And I think for an average person, the idea that someone is going to bother tracking your movements seems just ridiculous. In fact, late at night on the subway platform or a deserted street, I don't mind the idea that someone might be watching me. I think it's a legitimate trade-off.
Maybe it's the concept that our privacy is being invaded that bothers us.
I feel strongly about certain things. When I walk down this sidewalk, my own privacy feels invaded when someone's talking on a cell phone. I don't want to hear their private business. I'd like there to be a place where I can be anonymous.
That's the place, the Contrarian View. When we come back fresh from the farm, how do you know? The proof is right there, on the shell.
It's coming. And this time there's something new. Now there's a wind tunnel by Hoover that's self-propelled, so it almost works by itself. Tests show wind tunnel picks up more dirt than any other clean air upright.
Hoover, nobody.
And now you can get one that's self-propelled. Self-propelled wind tunnel.
Great meal. Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas-X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster. Hey, want to go for ice cream? Gas-X, the power to fight gas fast.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, you can go as far as you want. We'll always be right down the lane. Days Inn. There you go.
Max is a mighty dog. That's why he gets new Mighty Dog carved beef and gravy, tender slices and savory gravy to give Max all the energy he needs. New Mighty Dog carved beef and carved beef with pasta. Mighty Dog from Friskies.
Eating Quaker oatmeal on a daily basis can help lower cholesterol. Mine dropped 29 points. That's one under the speed limit here in Lafayette, Colorado. Just a reminder, Quaker oatmeal warms you heart and soul.
You won't believe what went on in these homes until you see what our cameras caught. How does a parent cope with a rage they can't control?
Jonathan told me this morning that this would be my last birthday. Better enjoy it because this is your last.
Diane Sawyer, Sam Donaldson, 2020 tonight.
Finally from us this evening, something new on the farm to report about. A huge farm collective in the Midwest has a novel way to guarantee whether its eggs are fresh, or at least when they've been laid. Basically, they run the eggs through their version of a laser printer, which stamps the date it's been laid, the birth date, right on the shell. In pink ink, you can't miss it. The idea here is to prevent unscrupulous producers and retailers from repackaging old eggs, which can make you sick. Good idea. Americans eat about 55 billion eggs a year.
Is this some joke?
No, madam, it's no joke, but it may be a very clever marketing ploy. Truth in advertising. Imagine that. That is our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget 2020 later. Tonight they're going to deal with extended warranties, what they really are and if you really need them. And then on Nightline, they will turn again to the global economic crisis. I'm Peter Jennings. We hope you have a good evening and that we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Doctors prescribe drugs, but have you seen these ads? Drug companies are selling directly to you, but are they telling you the whole story? Surprising answers on World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News.